This is exciting.
Oh my God, it's been how many million of years?
I know. This is nerve-wracking.
Everybody had to draw like regular mannequins, but you could not just draw regular mannequins. You had to make characters out of them.
I always say, man, I was probably just a little shit when,
A little bit. I mean, never like a shithead.
like those days when I was working diligently were the
You were
days
getting
were
paid.
betting. Yeah, I was getting paid. Yeah, it was
Mm.
a paid gig.
To start with, like I was a painter. Like I painted basically from college on. And then when they were like, "Oh, you got to teach ceramics," I was like, okay, I don't really do ceramics. So at one point I was like, I'll teach you all the ceramics classes, but can you please just give me one 2D class, like for my sanity?
What is up, everyone? Welcome to another special edition of the Rated G podcast. I am your host, G. Derado. If you are new here, welcome. And for anyone else that is tuning back in, welcome back here on this podcast. I like to sit down with friends, fellow artists, creators, makers, creative entrepreneurs, and we just sit down. I try to help promote their brand, and while doing so, we engage on long form conversation, just catching up or getting to know each other more. So if this is the type of podcast that you vibe with, please hit that follow, subscribe button, ring the notification bell. That way you can keep up with the current uploads. And if you are tuning in through YouTube, definitely subscribe to my channel if you want to see what other art related content I put up. And don't be shy in the comment section. I'm always looking for feedback or questions that I or my guest or future guests could answer. So yeah, and just keep an eye out in the show descriptions as well. I tend to leave links in there in case, again, you want to follow us outside the podcast. And yeah, here we go. This is all right. Now I'm feeling nervous. So joining me on this episode is was my high school art teacher, and I've mentioned her a couple times, especially pertaining to my portrait work. And yeah, we've just been staying connected like any other normal human being would do with social media these days. But this is nice. This will be like our first actual interaction. So yeah, please welcome for the first time on Rated G, the one and only Linda Barhydt.
Hello, happy to be here. Happy to see you face to face, G. So many years.
I know, and I have to say, it felt so weird saying your name, like this your first name, because I never addressed you as Linda.
I know.
I mean, like to me, of course, just going back to our memories, I always would refer to you as Miss P, Miss P
Unit.
Unit.
P
And for the
unit.
audience, her last name before she was married, her maiden name was Pellegrino, so I'd call her Miss P Unit
Yep.
or Teach. So it's like it felt really weird for me to actually address you by by your first name and your new last name.
Yeah.
So I hope I did okay.
Yes. Yeah. And I know. And now you're married. It's crazy. Right.
Yeah, still with the same last name.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, right. It's weird. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think Nicole had you for
No.
any of the art courses. So yeah.
Did she even take art in high school?
I
Did she?
don't think so,
Yeah,
actually. I don't know.
she missed out.
Yeah, she missed out. Yeah, yeah.
You
So,
you made up for all of her non-art classes. You took.
uh, yeah, yeah. Well, it's just so funny because, like, I don't know. You got me thinking about how I would always try to attract a girl with my talent.
But you were talented, as you still are. I follow everything you do. So,
It's
and like I said, I showed you, I sent you all those pictures of all the stuff I kept of yours.
I don't know. That one really took me back, just seeing the old stuff. And it's so funny because immediately I started critiquing everything. Just like, it's like, man, like, there's like nothing look.
The one that made me laugh was the mannequins. Like everybody had to draw like regular mannequins, but you could not just draw regular mannequins. You had to make characters out of them. Typical G. I was like, just draw a mannequin. No, G had to draw like, characters. I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's typical."
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. You had to
That's
turn them into people doing crazy things. Yeah.
wow. Yeah, see, I didn't even think of that. Honestly, I saw that, and when I saw the thumbnail, my first thought was like, did I make a character
Yeah.
rotation?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and I still noticed the character, and it's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I immediately recognized the influence I had back then, like
Yeah.
the bands I was listening to.
Yeah.
But that's just funny. I didn't know, I wasn't aware like it was just a mannequin
Yeah.
assignment. But of course, I mean, I was like an overachiever in that
Yeah.
way, I guess. So
Yeah. Overachiever in some ways, and then other ways, not so much.
do you feel like sharing any memories that you have from those days? Because I always joke around with you, right? Like I'm like I always say, man, I was probably just a little shit when
A little bit. I mean, never like a shithead, but like kind of like just, you were a little on the let me take the easiest way out person as you could. You were like, a little on the lazy side at times,
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah.
I think, but like most high school kids are like that. What's the easiest way I could get this done, or the fastest way, D for diploma, that whole, you know.
Yeah. That's so wild you say that because I always reflect on my college days, and like I noticed that then too. I was like, I did enough to
Yeah,
get
just to get
by,
by. Yep.
and like I got really deep within myself. I was like just sharing like what could be the root of all the things, like especially imposter syndrome. Like
Mm.
I think I might have it down to like when I stopped putting in like real effort. Because I used to be like an honored student in elementary school. And then I know I can tell you like fifth grade, I started hanging out with different kids, and that immediately affected, my perspective on like having a social life and like,
Sure.
trying to be cool and all that stuff. So and yeah, unfortunately that affected my education as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
like I said, I mean, you always had that talent. I mean, you were one of those very talented kids, but like, like any kid, like if you're not into something, kids put like the least amount of effort into something. If they don't like something, they're not going to put the most effort in. If they really like something, they're going to put more effort in. That's normal. But
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that because,
yeah.
like, yeah, I think during those years I was going through a music phase, so
Mhm.
I was really starting to lean on playing guitar and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I remember the final assignment. I did something with a guitar, and
Oh yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
had to make like a 3D thing that you would hang on a ceiling, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
So,
right.
I mean, not even thinking about like, oh, when I use this material, it's gonna make it heavy, but
Yeah.
yeah, I do tend to sometimes take the lazy route, and I know that I often take the harder route too. Like I'm an
Yeah.
overthinker. Like I don't know if that's like a common cr artist or creative person
I think it
trait.
depends on your personality. Some kids like you said, it's some kids overthink things, some kids take the easy way out. I think it depends on your personality.
Yeah. Oh my
Um,
God, I'm looking at the background, the
oh
murals, and
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
it's
I thought I put like an artsy background. I didn't even have
no,
to
it's
try.
perfect.
I know
Like that's
our mural.
that's the classroom, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because I recognize. Oh my God, it's like
yeah.
time
Still
travel
there.
bullshit.
Still there, our
Oh
mural.
my
And they
goodness,
actually redid the whole art room, and I was like, you can't paint over this mural. It's the one thing I won't let them do. So yeah.
man.
And you would be happy because they have a guitar class now here.
Oh God damn.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, I can't even imagine stepping foot over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Some things have changed, some things have not. But yeah,
yeah.
things are good. Still here. Like I said, still,
Well, you seem in good spirits.
yeah, things are good.
Like,
They're good.
because yeah, I like just the climate of being a teacher and educator has been quite cloudy, right? I I I have a very
Yeah.
good friend on who's been on here a few times. I'm gonna leave him anonymous because I've been plugging him so many times to the point he acknowledged. But he tends to go on the darker route of like sharing sort of the hardships
Of teaching.
of teaching, perhaps just because the way things are now with accessibility with the internet and social media. So it's like he's been taking it pretty roughly.
Hmm.
So he's always like looking for that hope of like to keep going. So, and it's just, I don't know. I've been going through a run of these guests who are either actively or used to teach. So I'm
Hmm.
like, huh. Like I didn't know until I sat down with them and talked to them. And I'm like, oh, you used to teach is also okay. Like this is I've been going through these people as of late. So I'm like, there's gotta be some weird like thing going
I
on.
mean, like now, this is year 23 for me. So, I mean, I could probably retire in 2 years, but I don't probably think I will. I mean, I have a few years left in me. I mean, on the horizon, I'd probably be here I see myself being here another probably 8 years. Like I'm not rushing to get out. Things are good. I mean,
Okay.
I don't, I don't dread it. Like I think like, if you dread coming to work every day, that's a problem. Like I still enjoy coming to work. I love, I mean, I think it depends on year to year. Like I'm having a great year. I mean, obviously the COVID years were bad. I think they were bad for everybody, but like, teaching during COVID was
Mm,
horrific. I mean, I had to teach ceramics during COVID. I mean, like that was
yeah.
almost impossible, like they basically told me, like, you got to make it work. And I was like, all right, well, I can't send clay home. I wasn't sending clay home. So, it was rough. Like, I basically had to, the kids watched videos and I made it work. You had to make it work. I had no choice. It was basically like I had no choice. I mean,
Yeah.
did I go home crying every day? Pretty much, if there was any time that I wanted to leave teaching, it was that, it was those years. But you made it, I made it through, made me a stronger person probably, but you go year to year. And like this year, like I said, I'm having a great year. The kids are great. I definitely, you know, teaching high school just melds with my personality, as I'm like a sarcastic person. I gel with certain kinds of kids, maybe some kids not so much, but you either love me or hate me. I have that kind of personality. I'm like, I also have a personality where like I don't really give a shit if kids don't like me, like I don't like whatever, like
Right.
like I'm not here to be your friend, but if like you want, like if you love me, that's great. Like, but um I think, like I said, certain kind of kids gravitate towards me. Like, like I have that kind of personality, and that's great. I said, like I said, I have kids that like come back year to year because like that's who gravitates towards me.
Mm,
And like I said, I think you have to have a certain kind of personality to be a teacher, especially today. You know what I mean? Like the climate of kids are changing. I do believe that that's a social media kind of thing, and it's a whole kind of climate, today's climate kind of thing. But you just kind of have to
Roll with the
adapt. You have to kind of adapt, and if you're not an adapting kind of person, it's gonna wear you down. So maybe like your friend who you're talking to, like it's just like kind of getting to him, and I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's safe to say too, like, yeah, it's all dependent on the district too,
I
right?
was just gonna say that I think it also depends where you are, and what's going on in that community maybe, or where those kind of kids are, and
Mhm.
it definitely depends on where you are.
Yeah.
So
Well, I have to say, regarding like having sort of that the right personality for teaching, like going back when I was still, when I was your student, I mean, you were always super cool. I mean, like if I were to think of, I mean, I don't think you've ever like yelled at me or shouted at me or anything. I could think of one time you like raised your voice at me, but I think it was like the very early, like it was one of like the first classes we ever had together. But and I mean, I was being a little shit, guaranteed. But you're always cool and like collect, like I don't know, like yeah, like the sarcasm, like you kind of knew how to just go with it. And like for example, like Miss Dellert,
oh,
she was such a sweetheart, and I'm sure I gave her the same treatment, with the sarcasm and the pranking and the joking and whatnot. But she always seemed to like just like I don't know, she was just so sweet about it. Whereas you would like you put me in my place, but you never did it in such a way to that it like it got loud or anything, or I felt bad about it, like or embarrassed, like so I just wanted to say, yeah, you were super cool, back then. And I mean, it'd be crazy that if the students now, like if there are any students that don't warm up to you, I mean, they're missing out because like
well, I appreciate that, but you would be surprised. Like now, like you said, I definitely, like I said, I am adapting now also because it is definitely a different climate than when you were in school. And I also have to kind of tone it down a bit because I also can't really be myself as much because there are students who are a lot more sensitive now, and I'm trying to be politically correct, if you know what I mean.
I feel you. I feel you.
um they're much more sensitive now than even when you were in school. And I have to really, you have to watch everything you say now because um
Hmm.
it is what it is,
Yeah,
so
it's just gotta be so challenging because I don't know, like
it is, it is.
it's a lot of catering, right? It's a lot of catering to feelings, which is
Yes.
like fine, but like there's a point of like you gotta like put your foot down and be like this is just unacceptable. And like sometimes like these small things that could happen in class can have such a great impact on the rest of the class.
Well,
Like
I also think not only that, but I mean, the real world is not going to be a bubble. Also, when you go out into the real world, it's not always going to be this cocoon and safe space that, like, is going to treat you like you're in a bubble, so sometimes life is not that soft. And I think, I'm not that soft.
yeah.
So sometimes, people take what I say a little harsh, but like I think you need to prepare people for certain things. And but that's just how I look at things. Not everybody looks at it like that. So
Mm. Yeah, and you're Italian,
I
right?
am.
Oh, like I bet that's like wait, you just wait.
I mean, you know,
Yeah,
I do have to hold back sometimes, it's difficult.
I
It's
bet you got a wooden spoon like
I got
stashed
a wooden spoon
somewhere.
smacked across my ass several times, and I'm a better person for it. All right. I am not promoting that.
Of course not.
Of
Never.
course not.
Never. But no. With your students now, like, I mean, are they like, do you have to monitor their device usage? Like how, like, when it becomes a distraction, how does that work now?
We try to do that. It's a losing battle, like we
Mm.
try to have them, put their phones away and, in my ceramic class, I don't really allow them to have their phones like at the table because first of all, I mean, your hands are full of clay. Like, I mean, do you really want your phone full of clay? Whatever. I mean, most of them don't care, but I don't let them have their phone at the table when they're working with the clay. They have to put it in their backpacks when they come in. They have to have their phones away. In my upper level classes, it's not really an issue because mostly like the class you were in, like if they're painting or they're drawing, I let them listen to music because it's when I draw or paint, I listen to music, so I don't mind that because first of all, it's like silent. They're working.
Yeah.
They're concentrating in their painting, so it's usually like dead silent in there, and it's
Yeah.
it's kind of nice. It's fine. Um, but it's a huge problem with the cell phones, but it's almost like it's a losing battle,
Mm.
So I think we've basically given up on that.
Yeah, there's like no way of like regulating because I thought they were trying to do something. Um, I don't know if it was like a law or just something like a rule in general, like I don't know if it was school or maybe it was about business, but they're finding ways to have some regulation with like the use of social media while on the clock or maybe in class. But maybe I might have that mistaken.
I mean, it'd be great. I mean, like I said, there are some classrooms where they put the cell hotel, the shoe holder where the kids come in and put their cell phones in. I mean, a lot of classrooms do that.
Okay.
Um, some don't, like I said, in my upper level classes, I don't do it, but in my ceramics classes, they're not allowed to use their cell phones. I think it goes by classroom to classroom. It depends, you
Oh
know.
yeah. Yeah, damn.
It's rough. Like
Yeah.
I mean, and like the kids are walking down the hallways, they like bump into you because they're like,
Yeah, right.
they're not focusing. I mean, the kids are literally talking on their cell phones in the class in
That's
the
just so
hallways.
wild.
Yeah.
I mean, because yeah, when we were in high school, it was like the very early stage of
Yeah.
cell phone. Um, so yeah, that's just wild. Like I can't even imagine holding a holding a conversation on the phone while going from one class to
Oh
another.
yeah. They walk down now it's like you just can't stop it. Like I said, they're talking on the phone down the hallway. I'm like, I mean, forget it. In the cafeteria, that's all they're doing. Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
Oh man. But it's just yeah, I don't know. It kind of crushes my soul a little bit seeing
yeah.
how, like the phone zombies are real, I
Oh
believe.
yeah.
It just like crushes my heart, especially, when it comes to like social gatherings. Like I get so bummed out when I'm with a group of friends. If we're like out to eat,
Oh, everybody's on
everyone
their phone.
and everyone's on their phones.
Yeah.
It makes me want to be so like that's when I want to be at the peak of my
Yeah.
obnoxiousness because be like, come on, snap out of it. We should be conversing right now.
Like
But
when you go to restaurants and you see couples and they're both like on their phone and they're
oh
not
my
even
God,
talking to each
yeah.
other. And I'm like, so it's sad. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny talking about bringing that up because when me and Nicole go out, like we're big Everybody Loves Raymond
Oh
fans.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And there's an episode when they talk about like they're on an anniversary dinner, but they got nothing to say.
Yeah.
So there's a line that we always use when we like hit a lull while we're out together, and
The butter spread's good too.
so we always say that when they like when we notice it's like quiet between us. And they're like, we
I
don't
know
even
that
have any
episode.
butter in front of us. We're just sitting there, but just be like, yeah, so the butter spread's good.
I know that episode. That's really funny. I'm gonna use
I like
that.
the perfect temperature slash density. Yeah, we sleep to that show. We sleep
Yeah,
to
it's
that
good.
and Seinfeld.
Seinfeld. My husband and I are big Seinfeld people. Yeah,
Yeah.
with the milk. My husband's always like, it's too light, the milk.
I love the close talker
Yeah.
and the the I forget the name of the episode, but it's the bet
Oh, yes,
that
yes,
they all have. The
yes.
it's such a classic,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
honestly think a lot of the stuff in those shows like still apply
Oh,
today.
they're hilarious.
You
Like I
know,
said, we quote Seinfeld daily. Yeah.
what are your thoughts on the AI Seinfeld thing that went on for?
The AI with
But there was an AI that continued the Seinfeld show.
oh,
Like,
really? I didn't see
yeah,
that.
oh, okay, yeah, it just kind of like made some more episodes. And but it was called something else. I can't remember. But yeah, it was basically like AI generated episodes of Seinfeld.
Really? I didn't
Like
see that.
like new episodes though too. Like it was
Oh,
trying to come
wow.
up with new just like new writing scripts. So, but people
Oh,
were really unhappy about it. So,
oh. No, I didn't see that.
oh, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, I tend to just because the direction our society is going, but I bring up the topic of AI a lot.
Oh God, that
Yes.
AI is driving our English teachers batty.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really bad here. Yeah.
Now, is that because students can use AI to write their essays and
Yeah.
their papers? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I thought there was something that can detect that now.
I don't know, but I mean,
Okay.
I know that I think there is, but it's just like they're just like why, give them homework or why give them papers to write because they're just going to use AI for, to do everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and now it's driving them crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, rightfully so. That's wild. I mean, I would imagine it's driving every, especially every creative person
And then
crazy.
and then I didn't realize that you could do it with art too. And then they showed us,
Yes.
and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like,
Yeah. So I've been like, you know, keeping some tabs on like the um like how AI is progressing, especially when it comes to visual arts or
yeah.
just arts in general. But it's amazing. It's just crazy how far, I mean, just how much it can accomplish
Yeah.
despite the some of the things that it needs to fix. Like, it generates these phenomenal realistic photos,
Yes.
paintings and all that, but they
Paintings.
couldn't seem to find a way to make the hands more anatomically correct.
Oh,
They're getting
okay.
a little bit better now, but it- generally it's just because just hands are such complex
Yeah.
parts of the body
Right.
that the AI, I guess it just doesn't have enough data in its generator to really make them
Right.
accurate.
Because
So like,
we were saying like if there's a kid on say like home instruction or a kid that's like even if we were like say to go like virtual again and we gave the kids an assignment to do at home, like how would we know that like they're not doing it, giving us an AI image, or an AI like we wouldn't know because we're not home with them. Like say we gave them an assignment, make a Picasso like portrait, blah 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 blah. And then they
yeah,
generated something AI. I mean, I wouldn't know because I'm not home with them.
yeah, yeah, it's tough. Like you have to have like a keen eye for
Right.
certain details. Because I don't know, I'll try to like just see if I can identify whether a painting is AI or not
Right.
before I read the caption or whatever the poster says. Um, and I mean, right now I feel like I don't know how to articulate it, but it's like how the color palette is used. Like I feel like the color palettes seem more vibrant. Like the
Oh,
the
okay.
painting has like some sort of filter on it, And also like a lot of things kind of look like the edges, like a lot of things kind of look blended. So like nothing has like a defined line or an edge.
Okay.
Things are like kind of like softened.
Mm,
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, that's just how I'm seeing it. Like, especially when I confirm, like when I have confirmation, like, oh, this is an AI painting, and I'll see like what is it that really makes it look like, oh, like okay, like this doesn't look like it was done on Procreate or
oh,
Photoshop.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just like weird attributes.
Nuances. Yeah.
Yeah, just some things that you kind of like gotta look at how it's done. And then of course, like if we're talking about characters or human portraits, you just gotta look at the hands
Oh, okay. Yeah,
or their
that's a good
limbs.
tip. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's really interesting. Again, I think it's just the complexity of the human anatomy. But like the photos, like the realistic photos, same thing. You gotta like look for like floating hands or just
Mm,
like anything that look like you'll find little weird things. But with the face, like I mean the face, they got it down pat. It's remarkable.
crazy. I know. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And it stinks. Like I try to find at least one positive thing about it, but at the end it does like hurt the person that's looking for a particular job, and that is like concept art.
Hmm.
Like my only defense was that yeah, it'd be cool, to have a reference instead of creating one in your head and then try to put that on paper. If you can just put in some keywords just to be like, oh, what would it look like this way? And then that's it. Like, I mean, it's up to the individual whether they do something with that actual AI art. Like if they try to make money with that,
Yeah, right.
that's on them. But I mean, I'm just speaking on my own behalf. Like because sometimes if I'm doing like pop art, fan art, and I want to mash up some characters, like sometimes I'll be like, well, I wonder. I actually would Google characters and be like, so and so and so and so. Has anyone done fan art with them two mashed up together? And if I don't see anything, then I put my own approach to it.
Okay, yeah.
Now you can just use AI and do it, like
I know.
So that's what sucks is that it can take the jobs of concept artists.
Hmm.
But yeah, and I mean it's affecting music, it's animation, film
Yeah,
now. It's like, it's I don't know. Is it like gonna take away from the actual art form?
I think so.
Yeah.
I
Like,
think
people love, I mean, right? I think nowadays a good population is all about instant gratification, right?
right, right.
So yeah, I mean,
And like I said, the untrained person's not going to know the difference, right? So they're just going to be like, "Oh, this is pretty."
yeah, I guess like we would kind of have to rely on like the communities, like addressing like this is man-made art or this is AI
Right,
art. Like there's gonna be a lot of um disclaimers, like this is what you're seeing here.
right.
So
You would
at least
hope.
I hope.
Yeah,
Yeah, at
you
least
would
I
hope.
hope. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like I was talking to a friend Sunday about it, and I was like, I don't know what it says about me or my way of thinking, but I'm like, well, like if the AI is creating something that you're working on, like that you're trying to work your skills on, like let that kind of be like a motivator, maybe, like
That's a good way of thinking of it about it.
especially like right portrait artists,
Yeah,
people that are really working on like realism. Like yeah, the AI is creating these phenomenal photos, but hey, like if you push yourself to the point where you can do it yourself by hand, even with the reference still, like, but if you can get it photorealistic, just by hand, that like more power to you. I
yeah,
think that'll still grab more respect. I think.
yeah. Right. True.
I just worry about like the purists, like people that buy physical art. I worry about that. It's almost like the same thing with NFTs, really.
Oh, yeah.
Like I never got on board with that.
No.
And because like I like sculpture, so I feel like if I was gonna do a 3D thing, I'm just gonna sculpt it.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right.
But I just yeah, the whole like the cryptocurrency and just the way things are going digitally, I'm like
I
I mean, I
know.
guess I'm just old fashioned
Now
that way.
me. Well, obviously I am too. Yeah.
I'm gonna say this because your birthday was recent. But however old you are, we're not gonna say it, announce it, but you look great for your
Thank
age.
you. Thank you. I
So,
appreciate that. Trying to
so
trying to keep myself fit.
yeah, I mean, I feel like that was that was at least my main takeaway that I really try to push out there is that, you know, quarantine, COVID, the whole thing, it really showed us how not fragile but vulnerable we are, especially when health and even some like exercise, like the benefits that they really have on you, or the impact I should say. Like I've been trying to be a strong advocate for just being an active person in general, you know.
Yeah, because you made a huge transformation.
Well, yeah, you've seen how fat I was.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but I mean,
I'm gonna say it for you because I see those pictures and I'm like, man, I just I knew it, but looking back, I'm like, man, I was such a rounded boy. Like I look at those pictures and I'm like, I look more and more closer to like a primate when I was younger, just like because that's what I imagine, like those gorillas just sitting around and just eating the banana or something.
you did have a fascination with bananas. You did do a lot of things with gorillas and bananas.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was like, no wonder, like, because I remember the year I dressed up as a gorilla, and I'm like,
Yes.
everything was like,
Then
you
you did
know,
a portrait just made of bananas. Yes, you remember that? I think I had that somewhere, but
I
I don't
think
remember where
so.
that what happened to that one. Yes. And then in your thing you did something with gorillas. Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, G time.
Yeah,
You
G
should have failed
time.
me. You should have
Yeah.
failed me for that shit.
G
Oh my
time.
God. That's one of the prime examples of me not just keeping up with my assignments and doing
Yes.
last minute.
Yeah, G time. That was your clock theme, G time. And every number was a G.
Yeah. Yeah. So like for the audience, we had an assignment that we had to create a clock, and it had to have like the theme of it had to involve like, I guess like the word time or something like that. Like I think it
Like
was
for example, like the sands of time or the time warp or time waits for no one. And what was your theme, G?
G time.
Yeah. And every number was a G.
Well, no, no, no. Every number was a different gorilla, but I was the number 12,
Yeah.
and I had yeah, there was
There was like no concept. There was just
G time.
G time. That was your theme, G
I
time.
think initially I was trying to go for like, like primates, like the full cert the evolution
Yeah.
cycle, but I just went with every type of ape until it hit
Yeah.
me.
You just kind
Yeah,
of
you should
dropped
have
the
just
ball on
failed
that
my
one.
ass. I
Yeah.
mean, and the clock was literally modeled after my head.
Yeah, it
So
was a G. It was
it
just
was my head and my mouth was wide open, and inside my mouth was the face of the clock, the numbers.
wasn't your finest moment. That
It wasn't.
wasn't your finest moment.
That was just a moment of improvisation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I always have this memory. I don't know which class or what level, like the class it was, but I remember I was so talkative in one of the classes, and uh I the only way I was not gonna talk was I forget his last name. I think it was Anthony something, and he would give me like $1 or something every day if I didn't, because he'd be like, "Oh, I bet you can't talk throughout the class today," and I'm like, bet me a couple dollars, and I was like, "This is stupid," because yeah, I'm gonna do this for money now. So
Was it an art class?
yeah, it was one of your
Was it
classes.
AJ? AJ?
No.
Oh,
He was like he had glasses. He was a wanna cute kid.
oh,
But I would just be like, "Oh yeah, I'll bet you that." And then I would just I'd work diligently. Like those days when I was working diligently were the
you were
days
getting
that we were
paid?
betting. Yeah, I was getting paid. Yeah, it was a
Mm.
paid gig.
For $2.
I don't know. It could have been five.
No,
It was
this is big
whatever.
money back then.
Well, it was some, I was getting paid for my lunch.
Yeah.
Damn,
Yeah.
are you guys still doing block scheduling?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was that? That was what
80
five
minutes. Yeah,
five
80.
blocks?
Yeah.
Do
80 minutes.
wow. So like are all schools doing that or some schools are still doing whatever
I
the
think I think it depends on the school. I mean, I think some schools do block scheduling, but it's like could be 60 minutes, could be 70 minutes. Like last year we were 72 minutes. Why we went back to 80 minutes, I don't know, but the kids like hate it. They can't concentrate for 80 minutes. Like after like 60 minutes, they're pretty much done. Then they start
yeah.
roaming around the room and they do
Oh
nothing.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
we're hoping
God.
they change it for next year because kids they can't do 80 minutes. Then they
Yeah.
want to go to the bathroom 45 times during the day, because yeah,
Wow.
start vaping in the bathroom.
Man. It's so wild just thinking back of those days, huh?
Yeah.
Well, like I
And
told you.
to me it's like Groundhog's Day because it's like I'm here
Yeah.
every day. It's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I know John Lauder is teaching over there now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
Teaches video.
yeah, when we saw him for was it Teresa's wedding actually? Um, one of our mutual friends' weddings was we were attending and we caught up a little bit and he
Yeah.
was telling me who was still there and like how weird it is to address teachers by their name
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and all that. So I was just like, man,
Did you graduated with John?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
same class. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, oh 06 was it? I think we were a class of oh 06.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feel
I
like I
might
said every day like blends into one. I'm like, you graduated with John. Yeah. Funny. Yeah.
sometimes I do think about like what if I step foot, but I don't think I don't know. The way I got by in school, I feel like not a lot of teachers would recognize me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who is still here that you would,
Yeah.
like I said, like I said, you'd remember Mr. Allen. He's probably the oldest one here now.
Wow. Me-
But
Uh, Corey Mellon,
yeah,
she
she's still here. Yeah. Miss Mellon's still here.
ah man. Whatever happened to Dellert?
Oh,
Were you close with her?
who knows what happened to her? She
Okay. I
left
was just
teaching and then like didn't do anything else after that.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Maybe one of these days if I find myself in the area.
Yeah, so you were in Bloomfield. See, I thought you were still in Bloomfield. So you left Bloomfield and moved to Virginia?
No, so no, we went from Bloomfield to West Orange,
Okay.
lived there for a couple of years, and then from West Orange to Richmond.
Okay.
Yeah, big moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, there were a lot of things I didn't anticipate, so it's been challenging.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, like well, you know how open and social I am. So
Yes.
it wasn't that I had trouble just meeting people. I had trouble like I mean it's like a big ask, but I'm kind of trying to put together or like find a core friend group of friends that I can just, I don't want to say rely on, but just people that I stay close with that keep me inspired, that keep me pushing
Yeah.
and all that. These are, the art community is great, but I'm like like everyone does support each other. But I'm like, I'm looking for people that are like actually friends and like
Yeah.
hang out and know how to like, kick back and everything. Um, and then also, and keep each other accountable. Because I feel like I need a lot of that.
Yeah.
So that like, if I'm getting like all like narcissistic or egotistical, Yeah, so that's been the tough part, is like finding um people that are like basically willing to take in a new friend into their lives, because
Mhm.
everyone's got their own thing. Everyone's pretty much settled in their day-to-day life socially and with
Yeah.
work. So to have like a new person who may be a loud personality to like, so like I'm always thinking about that every interaction I have. But now things are slowly starting to click with some people, and really kind of building a camaraderie. And
That's good.
yeah, so but I don't know, like I just, for some reason I thought like this would be able to happen quickly. Like it's almost been 3 years living
Oh,
here,
okay.
and I feel like I should have made an impact and all this stuff like in the community and everything. But I'm like, I talk to people and they're like, oh, okay, like I'm like, I feel like I should be here, but I'm still here. Like I don't, like I don't know if 3 years is if it's too long, or like this is like a normal pace, or it's just, individual. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on in my head and a lot of reflecting, so
Mm.
that, I don't push people away, because I can be quite radical. I like to play the race card
Yeah.
for shock
Okay.
value,
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't think I did that back in high school
No, I don't
so
think so.
much, but
Yeah, no, I don't think
yeah,
so.
I like to stay edgy. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, well, like, Virginians, they're the people here in the South. Yeah, like it's a
Yeah.
lot different than up there,
Yeah.
right? Like, like there's a lot of times where I'm like, I think the Jersey's like coming out right now, like, oh, my bluntness and everything.
Is it like south like that there? Is it like
I
kind of
mean, in my experience, yes.
yeah.
Yeah, like I've been hearing that, because like, yeah, the Southerners they're really nice, they're super
Yeah.
polite. Like
Okay.
I felt it when I moved, like that sort of Southern hospitality.
Okay.
People, saying being polite at the
Okay.
cash register and all
Yeah.
that. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh,
like you trying to start a convo?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm not in Jersey. I'm not
Like
in
I
Jersey.
I caught myself being taken aback by people's kindness, because I'm
Okay.
just, how we are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but I have also heard from others that that they're very kind, but they're
To your
also
face.
passive aggressive. Yeah.
To your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I don't want that shit. Like, give me the
Yeah.
real shit.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like, so yeah, so there's a lot of that. But I've also learned there's a lot of transports, is
Okay.
what people call themselves, like
Yeah.
people coming from other states. So I'm like, oh, okay, because I've known the people that I'm starting to like, that I've like hung out with frequently. They're from originally New York, so I'm like,
Oh,
this
okay.
is probably why there's some adhesion between our
Yeah.
personalities. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, like the area is great. The art, I love being in the city. The art's
Okay.
everywhere.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's just I'm adjusting to the pop-up market scene.
Okay.
Um, and it's just such a regular thing. It's really saturated. With the pop-up markets, there's so many organizers out there, but I love that they're supporting local businesses and stuff.
Okay.
But I have to do a lot of like research to see where I do well in.
Okay.
And yeah, that's been also part of the challenge. We kind of gathered that I do well at more like art focused like festivals, as
Okay.
opposed to like
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
pop-up market where a lot of the vendors are selling, nice little knickknacks, or
Yeah.
bakers are a big deal. But when it comes to fine artists, or illustrators, like you got to find the market that has more of art base to it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot of trial and error. Just unfortunately, sometimes that costs money.
Yeah.
Especially if it doesn't work out. But I'm also now trying to get into art galleries.
Oh, okay.
And I really have no experience with it, so I'm kind of learning as I go, and like realizing it can be kind of costly depending how much art you're submitting or how many galleries you're submitting to.
Okay.
So, and I'm doing this all full time, so I'm like very I don't know, like I go through waves where I'll do a bunch of stuff at once or like it's like very spread out. Uh but
But you should have, I mean, like you have so much stuff. I would assume like you have
yeah.
a lot of stuff that you could show, no?
Um yes and no. I mean, I do have a lot of stuff I could show, but also I don't know. I think it also depends on the gallery. Like
Okay.
I feel like they can almost sort of dictate how you're introduced
Okay.
to the community. Because initially coming here, I wanted to really push my what's the word, Mister? Like post-apocalyptic art, the dystopian
Okay.
art, and it doesn't vibe with. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
People are intrigued, but I don't know. I just feel like everything's got to be all positive now. So like, but I'm still here. Like, no, we gotta like realize like what's going on.
But if that's your thing, like they shouldn't be dictating what in, if like
Well,
that's
they don't sound as like confident that it
okay.
would draw in a crowd, which is fine. Like that
Yeah.
could be the
I guess you
truth.
got to find the right gallery for that.
Yeah, well,
Smart.
like fortunately my food portraits have been more eye appealing for the crowd. So
Okay.
at least with this one gallery in particular, they think if I, you know, get some wall space and introduce that stuff, it might just draw more an appeal. Like I've gotten honorable mention for my that I had a one piece that was like an Edgar Allan Poe type of piece.
Okay.
But that grabbed honorable mention. But yeah, I just like I don't know, like it might, who knows, it might be too much to see like my entire series.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still playing around with it. But I'm having fun with the food portraits. So if they think that might do better, then I plan on doing more of them anyway. So I have, I have options on how
Yeah.
I want to really make a imprint on the art scene, the gallery scene. So it's just money now. I gotta like save up for it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Money, right? That's what everything is about.
Yeah, I know. And I had a day job on the side, but yeah, I'm really trying to just trying to gather some commission work. I don't know. I feel like the last couple of jobs were just so bad, like experience wise. That I don't know. I'm it sucks to be like picky, but I don't know. I feel like I've had some pretty bad relationships like with my previous bosses. Um I think it was just like a power thing.
Mm,
Like they really like um abused their power.
mm.
So now I'm just like very weary about working for other people.
No.
But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But all that being said, it's been an experience, and but things are definitely looking up.
Good.
I'm just finally making peace with like this is the pace I'm in, you know. So podcasting keeps me sane though,
Good.
just like talking to other like-minded people, people going through like sort of the same journey.
Mm-hmm.
That's been reassuring, and also just a great learning process. I don't know, like I I don't know, maybe because of the position I'm in, but I really take these exchanges like wholeheartedly now. Like I really take them to heart. Especially like reconnecting. Like this is
Yeah.
like as soon as I stop and realize I'm talking to my high school teacher right now, it's probably gonna like I don't know, something I might start acting weird. No.
No, it's cool.
Yeah. But I don't know. But how's everything on your end? creative wise? Like aside from teaching, like you're still, creating your own
Yeah,
ceramics
yeah,
and
doing a lot of pottery. Like I said, it wasn't really my medium to start with. Like I was a painter. Like I painted basically from college on. Like I did oil painting. That was my thing. Like I oil painted. Um and then like, when they were like, "Oh, you got to teach ceramics." I was like, "Okay, I don't really do ceramics."
yeah.
Um and then, the more I did it, the more like I just I mean, I had no choice. Like I had to get good at it. I mean, not really, because kids don't really know if you're good at things, right? Because it's just like, okay, this is what I do, right? So, the more I had to do it, the more they kept giving me more classes. So like there were more and more years that all I taught was ceramics. Like there was one year that like I had 6 ceramic classes. That's all I taught. And I
Wow.
was like, and then I was like, well, I should embrace this, because if this is all I'm going to teach, like I should probably do more of this, because so, and the more and more I did it, the more I was like, I kind of like this, like, so I, took some more classes on my own. And then like I joined this pottery studio on my own. And now like that's literally like all I do, and now I'm like, I kind of like this. So yeah, so now like it's what I do like in my spare time, and it's like, like I guess I'm getting better at it, and then like, like, and I sell things like sporadically. Like I'll just post stuff like on Facebook, like stuff I make, and then people are like, "Oh, can I buy that?" And I'm like, I guess, like,
Yeah.
and then like I have no idea of how much to sell things for, so I'll just be like,
Wow.
I don't know, like $20, like, like,
Yeah.
so, and like people are like, "Oh, you should have an Etsy shop." And I'm like, and then I researched that, and they're like, you should have like at least like hundreds of pieces like in your arsenal, like at all times. And I'm like,
Oh.
that's not like, I'm not a production potter. You know what I mean? Like first of all, I can't make things the same ever. Like I'm not like I'm gonna throw 6 mugs that are the same. Like
Yeah, right.
like I can't do
It's
that.
always like a one of a kind.
Yeah, like I'm a one-off kind of girl. Like this is a like I'll make a mug, and I'm like, if somebody asked me to make like 5 of the same mugs, I'd be like, I can't do that. Like I just can't. Like it'll never be the same ever. So like for me to have an Etsy shop would not work, because if somebody said to me like, I want to buy 5 mugs, I'd be like, you can, but they're never going to look the same. Like, so to me it doesn't pay to do that, because I'd rather just sell to my friends, or like give them to my family. Like that's where I find joy. Like I don't like
Mhm.
really find joy in being a production potter. Like it's a hobby for me. It's more like it brings me joy to just go and like on my day off, go throw some pots and glaze, and here's some things I made. Here, look at some shit I made. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it's more of like a stress relief for me, except now that I've getting arthritis in my hands,
Uh-oh.
you know, it's called old age. But so it's more that kind of thing. Bless you. It's more that kind of thing. So like I said, now like I in my spare time, that's what I do. So I'd rather do that than worry about like somebody being like, "Oh, you shipped me the package and it came broken, and can I get a refund?" I'm like, like to me that's stressful. Like I'd rather, you know,
It
so
certainly is. I was telling a friend, I'm like, yeah, what like trying to be the artist and the businessman or
yeah,
businesswoman, it's a fucking game changer. Like
yeah,
when you
right.
treat the treat the art as a business. Like I definitely was not prepared for that. And
Yeah,
that adds on to the imposter syndrome. Like it's funny how like our creative paths like where it'll take us, right? Because I do remember back in high school, like, I had you for all these other art, other art classes, but I never had a ceramic class with you.
yeah,
I mean, maybe
yeah.
we had an assignment or something,
Right, right,
but it was
right.
never a strict ceramics class. So, you know, keeping in touch with you over the years, and I've always like, I'm like, yeah, she's like always putting out these great ceramics, but it's like, you know, I remember seeing them in school, but they were from the
Yeah.
other classes. But I was just like, I was like, you know, I guess like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like back when I had you, I think I had maybe, I don't even know if I taught ceramics, because back then I think Miss Dellert taught ceramics, and I think Mr. Dinky, if he was even here when you were there, I think they taught the ceramics class, and I had all the 2D classes. So I had like drawing and painting, and I had art 2, and I had art 1. And then all of a sudden, like the tides changed, and they were like, okay, you'll teach, I still teach drawing and painting. And then, but the rest of my classes are all ceramics. And I'm like, so at one point I was like, can you please, like, I'll teach you all the ceramics classes, but can you please just give me one 2D class, like for my sanity? So they still give me drawing and painting, thank God. So that I still teach drawing and painting. And then all the rest of my classes are ceramics. So I'm like, all right, I love teaching ceramics, but I'm like, I just need like one 2D class, please. Just please give me like the 2D class where I could sit and draw with the kids and paint with the kids, so that I can have some sanity, where it's not like there's clay everywhere and it's a mess, and then, you know, where I'm like, it's calm and it's nice, and it's, you know, like I said, not that I don't love ceramics, but like there's just sometimes I need like,
it's like a different piece.
it is like a peace. I need peace. Like I
Yeah,
just need
a
calm
little more tranquil.
peace, where they're drawing and I walk around and they're drawing and they're painting and it's peace. You know, ceramics is like a whole other animal,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
again, like I love, but it's just, you know, like I said, now it's the majority of my classes that I teach. But,
yeah. It's so
you know, when I'm doing ceramics, it's peace,
mm,
because I'm on the wheel and it's peace. But when the kids are doing ceramics, it's chaotic, you know. Like when 6 kids are on the wheel at one time and they can't do anything and there's clay everywhere, you know,
oh
it's
my
chaotic.
God.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah, I think I just find it fascinating when you see an artist, you know, when you discover an artist from one thing, and then, you know, you see their growth, their creative growth taking a
yeah.
different direction. Like I've told a lot of the people I'm that I network now on social media, like it's like, you know me for this stuff now, but I went to school for animation,
Yeah.
you know, like things were approached differently, and
Right.
then
I went to school for graphic design.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like even before doing what I do now, like I used to have a niche that was zombies. So
Yeah.
I was just doing strict zombie stuff. And then I don't know, I just kind of I have like a I don't know, disposition or indifferent feelings about niche art. Like I like, I don't know, I feel like it's like overplayed to like find a niche.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like people feel like they need to have a niche where it's like, no, if these are the type of mediums that you enjoy doing, like just go with that.
Right. Right.
Like I've had a conversation with someone about that where, you know, people were getting on her case because I mean everything she worked on, it all fit the same theme, but
Mm.
some of it was like she would paint these beautiful candle holders. She also does beautiful like floral watercolor paintings.
Right. Right.
She makes nice like bookmarks with paintings, but like everything is still cohesive. But the fact, like, you know, if she was posting more paintings, people would get on her case about you know, not posting enough other products.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just so weird, you know, what people, you know, are directed to. But yeah, I get a little disheartened when I do see an artist, or when I do see an artist you know, go off, you know, fall off the wagon and like pursue something that's like the complete opposite. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, even if they enjoy that, but I'm like, oh, you're so good at this. Like I've had classmates back in college that were in the animation program with me, and you know, like animation was the hardest major in that school, but you know, they would drop out of that and then go to, like, I've seen people go from animation to photography,
Mm.
animation to graphic design. Of course, I feel like that's like a natural
Yeah. Yeah.
switch, but I've even seen animation to culinary. So I'm like, oh man.
Wow.
But like to fairness, right? We all like throughout life we start discovering like other things
Yeah,
that
different, right.
yeah. But I don't know. I just personally tend to be like, oh, like I used to like I enjoyed seeing your picture, your drawings and stuff, and now you're a lawyer or
Yeah,
something.
right, right.
It's like,
How'd that happen? Yeah, right, right, right.
like those real crazy drastic changes, you know. But yeah,
But
I
then
don't
you would
know.
hope that someday they'll go back to that. Like they really, like it's probably still in them. They just,
Yeah, I guess my thing is like if that's like if being creative or artistic was like a part of your
yeah.
personality, to like see that go away completely, it's like oh
Like
because like
like Courtney, who painted this mural, she went to school for like equestrian. Like I was like, wait, what? Like what? Yeah. Like she didn't do anything art related. She went
yeah,
to school for, yeah, like horse training. And I was
yeah.
like, you did what? Like what a waste. But
Yeah.
she was just like, art's just like a hobby for me. And I'm like, that's a shame. Like,
Yeah,
because, but I hope she does some kind of art somewhere, sometime, because
yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, because like you think about the love for the labor too, and like where
yeah,
that comes to play in your life. It's like, yeah, because like, we know a lot of artists that are, yeah, we know a lot of true artists, or not even, they're artists, but they're like, like closet artists. Is what
yeah,
I'm trying to get at. Like you find out about these closet artists, and it's like, oh man, like you can make so much money if you
yeah,
wanted.
yeah,
But they're like, no, it's cool. Like, I
yeah,
just,
it's fine.
I was on lunch break. Like, oh, goddamn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's crazy. Yeah. But I always said if I were to find myself going through days or even weeks of not drawing, I get depressed
yeah,
legitimately. Yeah, like I gotta have that feeling, the texture,
yeah.
paper, and just and but also I can't even just doodle. Like I've learned like I can't like everything is like I don't know. I guess I hold a standard or what, but sometimes like I just want to do a fun study of something, but then it turns into like possibly a potential
A
thing
full
to
blown
sell.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
blown piece of art. And I'm like, no, this is god damn it, this is exercise. Like I try to do like the daily portraits and like every time I'm doing them, I'm just like, this was like not supposed like, I don't know. Like I look at it, I'm like, man, I spent hours on this. Like, why?
but that's good. That's good
It's
though.
good, but I don't know. I guess like just self-critiquing.
And you're probably your worst critic.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I really feel like I've been dealing with imposter syndrome to a very high, like to a degree where I was unaware of, kind of going back to, how I used to be such a good student.
Mm.
So I feel like a lot of things I'm doing now, like I feel like I should be better or I could be better if I
Yeah.
actually applied myself, but whole different mindset during those days.
Yeah.
Live and you learn. But yeah, I mean, as long as like you stay creative, that's what I just try to tell people,
Yeah.
especially if I notice they've fallen off the wagon. And then also if they're addressing it too, they're like, oh, like I want to be able to. I'm like, you can do it, man. Just like do start small, do a
Yeah.
5 second or a
Yeah.
5 minute thing or like whatever. But I mean that all depends too, like on the medium. Like if we're talking sculpture, ceramics, I bet like how long, like what's like a typical time frame of like getting, one of those things sculpted together. Like not
Um,
even like putting it in the pot or anything, just like the whole that like that process. Or does that
it depends. Like you mean like something on the wheel or something hand built or
man,
depends.
this is totally out of my realm here. Because
So
I'm
if I'm
like,
doing
oh,
something
there
on
are
the
tools.
wheel, if I make something on the wheel, it depends. Like I can make a mug in, like, 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like if I'm making something hand building, it depends like what I'm making, it depends. But I mean, the whole process like takes forever because you got to make something, then it has to dry, then it has to be fired, then I have to glaze it, then it has to be fired again. So it's a long process.
So the firing, how like is that dependent on the how intricate something might be, like that might be sculpted?
Yeah, like I mean, if you're sculpting something and it's big, like um it's gonna have to dry for a couple weeks.
Mm.
But if I make a mug, it could dry within like a couple days. But like a firing will take it takes about 10 hours for the kiln to fire.
Mm.
And then I have to glaze it, and then that's another 8 hours in the kiln. So like it's funny because my husband's always like, I could never do what you do because I need like instant gratification. Like he's like, the whole like it has to dry and then you have to fire it, then you have to glaze it, then you have to wait again. He was like, that's like the process is too long. And I'm like, yeah, but you do woodworking. My husband does woodworking. And I'm like, that's like a long process. I'm like,
Okay.
I said, yeah, I mean, it is like the whole waiting. It's a long process, the whole drying and then glazing. And then I said, but you know,
It's funny how we kind of uh like we ignore, not ignore, but I guess like the normies, right? They don't think about the process itself, like the labor and everything.
yeah,
Because I have this conversation a lot about that when people say that they wish they could draw. I was like, you
you
can.
can. Yeah.
You just have to have the intention, and like you have to, if like you want to be that good, you can be that good, but you gotta,
You got to put the work in.
yeah, yeah, put all that work in.
Although I've seen some kids that can't draw. I mean, or can't paint. Actually, kids can draw. I mean, there are just some kids that just can't paint. Like they can't paint because they just, I mean, no matter how hard you try to teach them to you know, like put your hand down, slow down, I mean, they're like all over the place. I don't know what it is. I'm like,
Yeah. And even like the efficacy of is that wait, efficacy? Is that a word? Um
yeah,
but even just like, the amount of paint strokes
yeah, yeah.
like that. Yeah,
You
like
just
yeah, you don't,
glob it on. I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Like you can tell when like certain areas are warped because there's too many
too much
layers.
paint. Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
but
But
and
like is
it's
that
funny
just
that you say that. Like kids can't like they can't draw. Like they can draw, but it's also funny how like when I'm teaching them to draw, like I teach them to draw upside down so that they can see, you know, the differences of where like proportion or whatever. And, so like it's weird because I see it so clearly that like something's out of proportion. And I'm always like, look back and forth really fast. Like the eye is like this big and the real eye is like this big. I'm like, how do you not see that? Like look back and forth. I tell them, look back and forth really fast, like really fast. I said, you don't see that? Like you don't see? And they're like, see what? And I'm
yeah.
like, I don't understand how you can't see that like the white of the eye is this big and your white of the eye is this big. Look, you don't see that?
Maybe so. It's funny you say
Like
that because
I don't understand how they don't see it. Like I don't know.
yeah.
Like to me, I'm like, maybe I don't, I'm like, you don't see it. And I'm like, say it 500 times, like you don't see that? Like, look how big it is.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, that's it's funny in so many ways, but I have to say it's really funny for me to hear that from you because I honestly feel like you may be part of the root reason why I pay very close attention to symmetry and like even just on people. Like I look at people's faces and I try to see which one, like which eye is bigger. Because like if you split it, there's everything's a little slightly different. So I'm always doing that when I'm talking to people sometimes. But I feel like just like through our in your lessons, like I feel like a lot of the stuff that you would tell us Like it carried through in such a interesting way for me. But I just feel like from your classes, like I pay attention to certain detail, especially with portraits. If people are doing front view portraits, I'll see, I'll compare the sides, obviously if it's like if the eyes are like oblong shapes and stuff like that, even shading. Um, I don't know. I pay so much attention to portraits, and there's actually one thing that I'm working on, even with my own work, is that I tend to narrow people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Like sometimes I make their eyes, I can make I'll make their eyes a little bit too close. Um, but I'm not doing the grids though. That's the thing. I
Mm-hmm.
don't do grids, otherwise you can avoid that. But yeah, I remember, of course, the one thing we talked about it online, where you would say, draw what you see, not what
Not
you
what you
think you
think you
see.
see. Right.
And then another one is that nothing is just white or something like
Yeah,
that.
nothing's white, the white of the paper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that always stuck with me throughout over the years. And I just try to keep telling myself that, and especially when I see something is like really off, like, I tell them, I'm like, draw what you actually see, because like
Not what you think you see.
because
Yeah.
I'll like sit back and look at them like, oh, how the fuck did I come up with that? Like, uh, but
Well,
yeah,
I'm glad you remember some things I taught, because the kids, I feel like, I always say the kids, anybody listening to me? Anybody listening to me? Anybody? I'm like,
yeah, I don't know. There was a way you taught drawing classes that yeah, like people would ask me like, oh, like what got you into portraits? And I don't know, like it just all stemmed from like the your class. So it
I'm
just always
glad.
stuck with me. Yeah, like I mean, I don't do the grid method anymore. Like part of me, I just don't feel that like want or need to like do something
Well, I think you're
photorealistic.
beyond that. You're probably beyond that. Yeah.
Well, thank you. But, but yeah, I don't know. I wish I could pinpoint the particulars in your from your classes, but I think overall the way you taught the class, it just made me like till this day enjoy drawing traditionally, and doing portraits or busts. Um, so yeah, I always got to give it up to you, when it comes
I'm
down to
glad.
it.
Thank you for that.
Well, of course. Thank you for tolerating me. Like there's probably so many like times you could have like kicked me out of class and sent
Nah,
me to the office.
nah, trust me, I've had far worse than you. Far worse.
Yeah, I would always share with my guests and in the audience that I was, yeah, I always called myself a little shit because I was one of the students in seventh grade, right? They would try to do the scared straight program
Oh, yeah,
type
yeah,
of
yeah.
thing. So, and I've talked about this a bunch of times. So, like for the listeners and watchers, sorry, blah blah blah. But they they would have a selection of students they would make sit in front of the inmates, and I was one of them. Not because I was like abusive or anything. I was never violent, but I was a smart ass. So then, they thought putting me up front would do anything, which I mean, it really didn't. Like the only thing I discovered is that, oh, a Bloods and a Crypt member can be in the same room.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting. No, but yeah, that's why I always say like, man, I was probably just such a just looking back, like, oh man, if I could go back in time.
But you
Like,
turned out okay, so that's all right.
I'm okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm okay, man. I'm okay. Are there other like besides me, like other students that you still stay in contact with?
I stay in touch with a lot, actually. I mean, through Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually a lot. It's nice. It's nice to stay in touch with a lot of students. I guess, Facebook has its downfalls, but that's one of the nice ones about it. It's nice to stay in touch with a lot of students. So yeah, a bunch.
Yeah. Well, like 3 years ago, really, I had Patrick Ackerman on,
Oh, really?
and we mentioned you.
No, but Miss P, I'm sorry. Like, I'm just so sorry.
Why are you sorry?
'Cause
I thought we were an awesome class. No?
Yeah, but
Dude.
I said some messed up stuff to her, like, on the first day of class.
Oh yeah, but come on, who hasn't said fucked up shit?
I don't know. Just like,
I
think about it, I'm like, teachers don't need that to deal with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, like, hard enough, like, without, like, people saying dumb stuff.
Yeah, he was another one, Pat.
Yeah,
Him and Matt Sweden.
yeah. Well, I will say they're still creating art.
Oh, I hope so, because they
Yeah,
were very talented.
Yeah, they found their, I hate to say niche, but they
Okay.
found their thing and stuck with it.
Good for them.
Yeah, so every time I see, because I'll see Pat every now and then, because he's cousins with one of my best friends.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, anytime we're at like a social gathering, I'll see him and we kind of just catch up on
Nice.
kind of like what we're doing here,
Yeah.
really. And yeah, I'll have to send him your regards.
Yes, you should. Yes, please do.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice that you guys stay in touch.
Yeah, every now and then. He's kind of like, he's not on social media that much.
Okay.
But yeah, when we do get in depth in conversation about, when just to catch up.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been doing well. But like have you like recognized, like, I mean, I'm sure it's hard. It would be hard to, having taught so many students, but like, would you say like a good majority of the students you've taught have stuck with their creative endeavors?
I don't know too many that went to school for art. The few that I do know, I'm trying to think. Trying to think who went to school for art. I only know like a few, but the few that I know did.
Stuck with.
And
Well, yeah, I mean, it'd be hard. I guess that would be kind of hard to answer. But I mean, like, well, let's say, have there been students you saw pursuing the arts where it's like, oh, I knew he or she was gonna stick with it, or
yeah, they did. Yes. Yeah. And it's good. I'm glad they did, because like there were some that were so talented. And then there were others that were so talented that I was like, I can't believe they didn't go to school for art, that I wish they did.
yeah.
And then there were some that I just, like I said, that I lost contact with, that I don't, I'm not sure that they, what they did. So,
Yeah.
but,
Mm.
like I said, I do keep in touch with a lot of students, so it's nice. It's like I said, through social media, I do keep in touch with a lot of students, so it's nice.
Yeah. So there was a student you had. He was at the time a couple of grades above me. I forget his last name, so it's probably gonna be hard to
Okay.
identify. But his name was Tom. He was super quiet.
Tom Balunas?
Maybe he had like that kind of like emo hair.
Okay.
He was super quiet, and if he spoke, it was very like low tone.
Okay.
You
Probably Tom Balunas.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Well, I know you had his work in the
Showcase.
in the cage
Okay.
for his senior year. It's probably that, but I bring him up because I used to work with him,
Okay.
and it wasn't until you put up his artwork that I realized, I'm like, oh, like I didn't realize like he was into art. Because I think you had his self-portrait in the in that glass.
Okay. The showcase, yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to find other. Yeah, he had like he was a little scruffy,
Okay.
kind of hunched a little bit. Like he was just such a quiet, like I don't know. He's like one of those typical quiet kids,
Okay.
but he was super talented.
I think that's probably him. Do you have a sister?
Yes. Yeah.
Dakota?
I don't know. I just know he had a
Okay.
sister. Yeah.
Okay.
Damn. I feel like this whole thing is pointless now.
I
But
think that's probably who you're thinking of.
I was
Yeah,
just trying to find a mutual personality.
because I think that's that. I mean, because he was very talented and he was super quiet.
I'm telling you, it's him. It's for
Yeah. And I
sure.
was thinking, and like, and then like when he drew, and I was like, wow, well, he's really, really talented, but he never spoke. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, where'd you come from? Because yeah, I'm pretty sure that's who you're thinking of.
It's definitely him.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I used to work with him at a friary in Ringwood, and same
And his
thing.
father was like the mayor or the I think his father was like
Oh,
the mayor or the councilman in town or something like that.
oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't like. I just know him from working with him, and yeah, he was so quiet at work, and but he was really good at his job, though. That was the thing
Okay.
too. So that's like, it's funny how that same thing with his art. Like he was just so quiet about
Did he have
everything.
kind of like a droopy eye?
Yeah, I was trying to like. So I was trying to find a way to articulate that without sounding like an asshole. But yeah, he had that.
Okay, that's him.
But super like yeah,
Yeah.
he's really talented. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I just yeah, I never got the chance to talk to you about him.
Yeah.
But he was yeah, he was like he was a nice kid though.
Yeah. I wouldn't really know because like I said, he never spoke, but yeah.
But I bring him up because I wonder if he kept it going.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like yeah, when you see someone that talented,
Yeah.
like especially like naturally talented, um like you wonder like how far would they want to take it, and or would it be a just a leisurely thing
Like
for them?
again, I had another girl like ridiculously talented. I mean, like one of those where I was like, holy shit, you're so talented. I went to school to become a nurse. I was like, okay, yeah,
Yeah, I guess
like
like
just
hmm,
like a hobby, like that's all, nothing else. Just I was like, all right,
because it makes you wonder like is it talent or is it I don't know, like, because people would be like, yeah, I think everyone is like gifted. So like, is that the case? And it's just a matter of like how much investment you put into it. Like, I don't know, what's how much. I'm trying to form like an actual question here, because
yeah,
like you question like where does that come from? Like the
yeah,
natural giftedness, as opposed to like just putting the
yeah,
reps in.
the hard work into it. Like, yeah,
Like,
yeah, like I don't know. Was there anybody talented in your family? Like, was anybody an artist in your family? Like my
I
mom is a self-taught, like ridiculously talented artist. Like she like never took a lesson in her life. And if I showed you some of her paintings, you would be like, holy shit, like what the fuck?
yeah.
Like, so I mean, I think I get some of my talent like inherited from my mother. Like, so is there anybody in your family that's an artist?
I mean, not that I know of from like my parents or anything, but my siblings for sure.
Okay.
'Cause I have two older brothers and a sister. My oldest, he's an animator. He's
Okay.
um does like VFX and all that. But I mean, that's really he's like one of the main root things as to like why or how I am
Okay.
today. Um,
So like who knows, maybe your grandparents or somewhere down the line it's
Possibly.
inherited from you from
We
to
just
you.
don't know from who. Like we would. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like
Right.
for me, I just know it like started from my oldest brother. My sister was talented too, actually. I remember she did like a nice white tiger. I don't even think it was a painting. I think it was done in marker and ink. But she did this beautiful like tiger piece. It had to been for an assignment because it was like one of two things I have ever seen her do artistically.
Okay.
So I knew she would like it's in there.
Yeah, so I
Um,
mean, maybe it's inherited because, like I said,
yes.
I have siblings who were very talented. So I don't know if it's like an inherited thing. Like, so who know? Who knows?
Well, then the question is it possible for people to not just be creatively talented or skilled in that way? Like, 'cause I feel like when you put enough effort and enthusiasm into something, you can, it becomes artful. So I wonder if like that, um, can be applied or like can transition through other mediums or
Sure.
styles.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it can be learned. I think with hard work, it can be learned. But I think also, I think like with sports, can people be naturally good at sports?
Right, right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But can you, with hard work, become better, or can you learn to be good at something? Sure. But I think like some people are natural athletes, just like I think you can be a natural artist, you know what I mean? But I think with hard work, can you be better? Sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Can you be taught? Sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, kind of going back to like, when people say, I wish I can draw, like, yeah,
Right.
I mean, like often will say, I can do a stick figure. And
Right.
I always come back with like, well, that's like the first step of it. Because
Right.
I know in one of my early classes in college, like, we had to draw hundreds of gesture.
Right. Gesture drawing. Right.
I'm like, you essentially had just did a very sharp gesture figure,
Right. Right. Right.
And,
Right.
and that's
Drawing with like sticks and right, like
yeah.
circle. Right.
Yeah, so I'm like, I always try to like, I'm like, hey, at least that's something,
Right. Right. Yeah.
But have you ever considered doing like tutorial videos for ceramics?
No, I mean,
No.
I guess I could, but I mean,
People ask.
I only videotaped myself once because, AJ Pileo asked me, he was like, can you videotape you doing yourself? He's like, I want to see you. I'm like, all right, nobody's ever asked me that. So like I set up a video camera and I sent it to him. I was like, okay, here, this one's for you, AJ. So I sent him a video on Instagram. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, AJ, another good seed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the end of my podcast, I always try to end on a more inspirational note
Okay.
where either myself or my guest, if they have anything to share, whether it's a quote, person, place, or thing that has always inspired them or is a recent like inspiration. If you'd like to share anything with the audience.
Oh, geez, put me on the spot.
Yeah, sorry.
Um,
I mean, it could even be like a positive message, right? Because I'm always I think about the aspiring artists, so I'm always thinking of like, if they're just getting into something and maybe they're just not good yet, like they're not meeting their expectations, like, what would Linda Pellegrino Barhydt say to this aspiring artist?
I would say like don't be afraid to try something new because like I said, I didn't start out as a ceramic artist and like I said, I started out as a painter and then I was kind of even when I started here, like I never took a ceramic class before in my life. Well, that's a lie. I took one in college and I was getting a D. So, and then they told me, you're going to teach ceramics. And I was like, holy shit, what am I going to do? So I went out and I took a ceramic class before I started teaching here. And I don't be afraid to like try something new and you might find out that like it's your passion. So I would say like go and try something. Don't be afraid because you might realize that you love it and don't be afraid to fail at it because you know what, if you fail, who cares? Like try it and you might again realize that you'll love it and it might be your new passion. So like I would say don't be afraid to try it. That's my words today.
Absolutely. Can't agree more. And if I may add to that, your failures really are great lessons, and there sometimes are more you can take out of a failure than a success. And it'll take you further in your creative journey. So don't be afraid to try and fail. It's better to do that than to never try it at all.
Yep.
And and I am gonna say this is not a plug, but kind of a plug, because you do phenomenal pieces of ceramic, so I will say, I'll say that much. But if you are gonna try to buy from her, just know
Oh.
that they are one of a kind.
They are one of a kind because I can't make two of a kind.
Yes. So just putting it out there. And as I always like to end the episode, I just want to say to everyone tuning in and to you, Linda, to stay safe, stay healthy, and stay driven. And thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for having me.
Linda!